Man, I tell you, totally random, but man, wasn't it hard getting up this morning? Man, it seemed like that weather kind of messed me up, boy. I woke up, I thought I was in Portland, Oregon. Boy, that looked like Portland, Oregon weather out there today. But, no, this was, a good game off the break. Was happy with the offensive performance and, most importantly, the defensive performance. The one thing I've been preaching ever since we've gotten back is we got to worry about who we are. That's all I care about, getting better as a team, getting better individually, and getting ready to get back into ACC play. There's a lot of basketball to be played, and there's a lot of teams within our conference that are trying to find themselves. And probably about halfway through, you'll start to see separation, as you always do. And we need to be the team, one of those teams that are trending in the right direction. And that's been my only message to the guys. I don't care about nothing else. And I thought, we had carryover. We were locked in. Aside from the early turnovers from bye, I thought that we did take care of the ball, for the most part. I know 19 turnovers is what it says, but we had 27 assists. I thought we did a great job of finding each other. Our spacing was important to our success on that end of the floor. But more importantly, and I say this, and I said this, to the team and the staff, one thing we needed to do is we needed to correct some things, lineup-wise in terms of playing big and then playing smaller. With Ryan playing, more, and even putting Soiree up in there and, having guys up in there that are bigger, playing by at the 4. We got to get comfortable with playing that big lineup, but then we go back to the small lineup, playing, Duncan at the 4, even putting Mustaf at the 4, putting By at the 5, or Soiree at the 5, even Ryan. You just play different, so we were able to get a lot of that done, and so just really happy with the performance. Javian, I'll give him a shout out because I really challenged him. He has to be better for us to be successful. He just is point blank period. He got to be better. We need him to be better. And what I try to tell him is it don't matter whether you're starting to come off the bench. You have a superpower, and that superpower is you score the ball. And so, as one of those type of guys that can get buckets, you got to come in, you got to be aggressive, you got to give yourself a fighting chance. You can't come out in the game and shoot 2 or 3 shots and then know if you warmed up or not. So I really challenged him to come out and be aggressive, and I thought he did that. I thought he made some great passes as well. So I was really pleased with his performance, and I thought it ignited us as well.
Did those early substitutions, in the first half, allow you to find some positive things about your team?
Yeah, I think it did. I came in, with Duncan, came in with Soiree, and they've been practicing well too. Soiree, particularly with his energy. I think we all see the energy that he brings. Now we need him to carry that over. We need guys to coach him as well. I always say this, as a team, you're only when you have guys that, can help you have success, you have to help them. When you're on the floor, you have to help a guy like Soiree. But he did a good job. Duncan came in. Duncan did a good job, rebounding the ball again. So I was happy that, we put those guys in and it wasn't any fall off.
Alex, that first half seemed like the kind of was one of the halves where y'all played the most complementary basketball, offense, defense. Do you feel like that first half today was kind of one of the better halves y'all played this year?
I did. I did. I thought we did some really good things, on both ends of the floor. But we shared the ball. Like I said, aside from the early turnovers, we had those early turnovers. But aside from that, I thought we did a great job of finding guys. Actually, there were times when I thought we overpassed. We passed up a couple shots, trying to do the right thing. And then defensively, I thought we did a really good job. Now, they ended up with 20 offensive rebounds. I don't know how many of those were in the first half, but I thought we did a really good job of limiting them to one shot and getting out and running. And that's what you want. You want to be able to capitalize. You have to, for the team, the opponents that we're about to play in the next week, you got to have sustainable defense, because those teams play deep into the shot clock, and you're going to have to limit them to one shot, because if not, you can be on defense for 2 minutes. So we did a good job, and I was happy to see that from our guys.
Coach, what did 13 steals say about the effort tonight? Obviously, the teams you're going to get ready to play are a little bit better than this one, but still, 13 steals is 13 steals. No
question. I'll take that. I think that shows an aggressiveness. Again, I challenged our guys. I think we have a bunch of good guys. I really do. But I don't want them always good guys. You be good guys off the floor. You would love them to be your son, but on the floor you want them to be a little nastier. And so that's another thing that I've been screaming a lot. You got to have a little fire. You got to take things personal. And I think that if we can do that, and I can get them, because this is one thing that I'm challenging myself each and every day as coach. They got to take on my personality. And I just, up to this point, like, for me, like, they haven't done that. This group hasn't done that. There has to be a resiliency within the group. There has to be, a commitment to toughness and fighting, and sometimes the score might not show it, but the fight gonna be there, and that's what we have to do each and every game. And I think that's what steals does. That means you putting your nose in the fray. You're diving for loose balls. You're doing different things, and so I was happy with the 13 steals.
Alex here. Rob?
Nate, he wasn't one of those guys in double figures, but he had a big influence on the game. 9 assists, 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, and he got on the board 6 rebounds. I guess that's what you're looking for him to, do a good job of distributing the ball. He doesn't always have to be the scorer.
Yeah, he'll score points. My thing with Nate is that, man, you got to know your superpower to this team. You got to know why people were excited about you, all of last season. You got to get the ball humming. You got to get the ball moving, getting into the second side. Once that happens, I'm not worried about your scoring, because you'll score the ball. But when that ball is moving, and we're playing to the second, third side at times, that's a byproduct of him, And I think that's one of the things that I've challenged him on. I want him to be better in that area. Your contributions show up more in the assist column, and then if you can get those long rebounds and things like that, and stay solid on defense, I do feel like he's gotten better defensively. He's more than trying now. He's making some things happen. So I think he needs to understand that, in order for us to be successful. He was 2-for-8 tonight, but he had 9 assists, and 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio tonight. So I was extremely happy with that.
Got time for a couple more, Alex? I think you talked about Jagan a little bit in the first half. Do you have an update on him, kind of his injury, and just kind of how tough is that to see him having a game like that and then go down with an injury? It seems like just kind of the story of the season. Y'all can't catch a break with these kind of injuries, type of things.
I don't know yet. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that it's just a little ankle turn, and we come back and we can get him back for Tuesday. That's all I care about. So whatever the prognosis is, I'll probably hear about it when I leave here. But let's let's get him some treatment, old school at ice and stem, and, and let's get him right, So he again, when he does the things that he does tonight, he's one of the best guards in the country scoring the ball.
Coach, real quick follow-up. What you said earlier, you wanted your team to take on your personality. Do they understand what kind of player you were? I know they got Google and YouTube and everything, but do they really know what kind of player you were?
You know what? At times I don't know, but I've allowed my personality to come out more in practice. I think, man, I only know one way. And, I think, like, sometimes we're afforded really good jobs like being in tech, but how I've grinded it out in my life, man, I didn't see stuff like this. Even when I got to Arizona, I didn't start my freshman year. I had to grind it out. And, every step along the way, I had to grind this thing out, and that's what I'm trying to get them. These guys got to fall in love with the process. A lot of times I tell this story, and I had to Google this name for them because they didn't know who the heck I was talking about. There's a guy I grew up with. He was older than me, Terrell Brandon. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and he was the 11th pick in the 1991 NBA draft. And I'll never forget when he came and picked me up. And it was really good guards in that draft, and they got a lot more publicity than him. Kenny Anderson and Greg Anthony were the top, considered the top 2 point guards in that draft. But when it's all said and done, it's TB's career was over. I think TB was a 3-time All-Star, 4-time All-Star. Made a lot of money. But my point is that I remember him picking me up when he came back from the pre-draft camp. And, man, the first thing I did when I got in the car, man, just tell me the process. See, I'm process-driven because all the successes and all the stuff that come with it, it don't come with it if you don't get there. So I didn't care about that. And that's what I think with our team. I always say that, like, y'all got to fall in love with the process of being successful, man. Like, you can't look down the road when you haven't conquered this. You got to be the best where you at. You got to maximize where you at, and you got to have a sense of urgency about doing it, period. And that's what I try to tell these guys. And that's what I mean about a toughness. You got to have a physical presence, but then you got to have a mental toughness too. And that's the thing that if I could give them guys anything, that's what I care about. I care about that the most because nothing rattled me as a player. And I've seen a bunch of them moments. I've been in a bunch of them moments. And, sometimes you fail in those moments, but that's okay. Because I never lost. I just always learned. And that's what I try to tell them. You don't lose in those moments, man. But you gotta you gotta learn from that moment. And then you gotta make sure that don't happen again. And even with you think about you think about Nate, like, man, what you guys are dealing, what those two guys, what them two young fellas are dealing with this year is expectation. And they're dealing with the fact that, man, you're not just on the scouting report, you're on the top of the scouting report, so you got to figure this out. And that's what I tell them. You got to not only know who we playing, you got to know what we trying to do and how they're playing, but then you got to know how they're trying to play you. And so that's a whole lot. And so you got to understand all of that stuff in the game. And so as a player, you got to know, okay, well, we start the game, and if I'm Nate, and I tell them this all the time, you come off the ball screen, hey, man, you got to come off and see how they playing you. You don't just come off the ball screen and try to make something happen. You got to know that's old school. You come off the ball screen, okay, they showing a little bit today. Man, they in a drop coverage. Okay, I know what I can do now. Okay, let me see where I'm at. Okay, I might want to move this guy and put him in the corner. Non-shooter, put him down there, put my shooter up here, keep Lance up high, up in this above the break spot. These are things you have to do, with buy. Don't predetermine your moves. What we got? What we doing? You can't predetermine your move. I never predetermined move. I never predetermined my game. I looked at my opponent. I know I was guarding. I know who I was guarding. I knew my opponent. I asked about who I was playing against. All of this is toughness. It's not being scared. Coach, wait, where did you say he'd like to go? Because I wanted to know. I didn't want no surprises, you know what I mean? And to me, that's a part of the toughness part. That's part of mental toughness. You want guys on your team to look you in the eye and get confidence. That's toughness, that's leadership, and that's the things I'm talking about. And by the way, that don't got to come from the best player. It just got to come from the player or players that want to do the right thing every single day. That's all it got to come from. Because everybody I've been around with my basketball journey, the ones that listen to the most is the ones that don't say the most, but when they talk, people listen. So.
And then one last one here, right in front.
You got to, you got to see Sutton play extended minutes for the first time today. What did you see from his game?
I thought he did a good job of rebounding the ball. You know, he's a guy that if you leave him out there, from what I've seen in the games he played, he always fall on some numbers. You know, a couple numbers, and you know, I think that he just got to keep fighting. You know, my thing with him is, man, there's nothing but opportunity and minutes in front of him. Take them. You know, and again, that's a toughness thing. That's watching the game, that's understanding the game and saying, okay, I see what we need here today, you know. Today it might be defense, you know. The next game it might be rebounding. You know, the next game, you know, we missing layups. I gotta finish. You know what I mean? That's all it is, and that's all I'm looking for him to do. He has to keep building in games like this, you know, so you're building trust as we play better teams. You know, you have to do those things.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Yep.